How's it going, guys? Sanitary 103, always encouraging clean eating and clean healthy lifestyle. So in today's video, I want to talk about fast food. You see it everywhere, right? Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, Popeyes, yada yada yada, it goes on and on. Now a lot of people already know, even if you're not into health and fitness, that eating too much fast food is not good for you. It's typically high in calorie, high in fat, but it's really hard to resist the temptation of fast food because it's so convenient. When you've had a long day at work, or let's say you have a family to feed and you don't feel like cooking, you just go right through the drive-thru. Now everything I've said in this video thus far is probably something you've already heard, but hear me out real quick. I want to give you a slight different perspective on why you may want to avoid fast food. Maybe not altogether, because I don't want to be a hypocrite. I will dabble in fast food here and there every once in a blue moon, but in general, you probably shouldn't be focusing the majority of your diet on fast food, and there's a couple of reasons. The obvious reason, like I mentioned earlier, is that it's high in calorie, it's high in fat typically, but more specifically, there's a couple of factors that I wanted to talk about. And one factor is the quality of the ingredients within fast food. Let's take, for instance, you go to McDonald's and you get some chicken nuggets. The source of these nuggets often are filled with hormones that come from a chicken that's pumped full of hormones, so they can get really plump, because mass production is what McDonald's and a lot of other fast food joints want. They pump up the chicken full of steroids. They get completely, overweight to the point where they can't even keep their limbs up, and they simply just snap off and break. And they basically get it shipped in a package wherever your nearest McDonald's is, and it goes into your system. Now, how much of the hormones from an animal, when it gets processed and frozen and then cooked and then into your body, into your system, how much of those hormones gets denatured in the process? I also don't have the exact specifics because I'm not a food scientist, I'm not a biochemist, but I will say that whenever I eat food, the actual source, the piece of chicken or the beef, if it's pumped full of hormones, I don't want to put that in my body. That's one reason why you might want to minimize eating fast food. Another thing is that if you saw the movie Super Size Me, they add a lot of additives to like the French fries. You probably have seen it where the guy that is in Super Size Me, Morgan Spurlock, he gets those French fries, he puts it in a jar for the McDonald's French fries. He gets another actual real French fry from a real potato. Well, they're both potatoes, but this one doesn't have any additives. It's an actual potato. He cuts it, puts it in a jar. He keeps it for days on end, and after about like 6 days or something, you could tell the original French fries from the real potato, it starts to get moldy, and that's actually a good sign because nature is taking its course. On the other hand, the McDonald's French fries, after a week, it looks exactly the same. He waits about 3 more weeks, a month, you look at the jar of McDonald's French fries, it looks exactly the same. 6 months or whatever, I don't know what it is, it looks exactly the same. You get the picture. That stuff is not normal to put into your system. So hopefully that's some food for thought. Now, when you think of fast food, obviously you think of high calories, high fat, but the quality of ingredients is definitely compromised. The second factor I wanted to talk about with regarding fast food is that it is highly addictive. Food can be addicting. A lot of people are addicted to food and they don't even know it. When they think of addiction, they think of drugs, alcohol, booze, etc. But food can definitely be an addiction, and fast food can put you right in that trap. Why is that so? Well, they have 4 components in fast food. It's really highly addictive, and it hits your pleasure center in the brain, and it makes you feel good, and it makes you want more. The first ingredient is fat, like I mentioned briefly earlier. During our hunter-gatherer days, it was feast or famine. We didn't know when we were going to get our next meal, so our body is acclimated and used to wanting to store on fat, so it gravitates towards high-fat foods. That's one component. Another component that makes it hard to stop eating fast food is caffeine. Now, there's not too much caffeine in fast food, but if you do get a huge soda, you got a little bit of caffeine, and you know how a lot of people are caffeine dependent. And speaking of sodas, on to number 3 within the caffeine is sugar. Sugar does all sorts of things. It gets you really hyper. It gives you that really big high, that big insulin spike, and then it gives you that big crash. And the fourth component that makes fast food really addictive and not very good for you is salt. They salt the crap out of a lot of food. We already get enough salt in our diet. It's hard to avoid it, but when you get a Big Mac with the fries and a drink and all that, you're getting all that salt, and they just dazzle it all over. Now, granted, you could order some fries without salt. That's gonna help a little bit, but when you're eating that juicy double whopper or that baconator or whatever, you're getting tons of salt. So when you factor in all these components, the caffeine, the sugar, the salt, and the fat, what does it do? Excuse me, all the advertisements that they pump out and they constantly just showing you and shoving it in your face at 10 p.m. when you're trying to go to sleep, and you get that late night commercial from Jack in the Box. It's really, really hard to avoid it, but that's how they get you in that trap. So that's another reason why you kind of want to wean off fast food, because you can get sucked right into that trap. So hopefully that video was informative, and I did want to point out that I don't want to be a hypocrite. I will eat fast food every once in a blue moon here and there whenever I'm busy. I'll get some like Popeye's chicken. The only thing I do avoid is ground beef. It's just too risky and for my taste, but to each their own. In my opinion, should you eat fast food in an ideal world? Probably not, but like I said, I won't be a hypocrite. I will dabble in it every once in a while. For me, I would say at the very least, even if you really, really like fast food, and or let's say you're a college student and it's really, really cheap, once a week, if possible, try to cook at home. Make your own meals. You can control your own portions, and maybe you can try to wean off and maybe have one fast food meal every 2 weeks, and then stretch it out to 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and hopefully just get off it almost completely together. That's my 2 cents for this video. Comments or questions are always welcome, and I would love to hear from you guys and gals out there. Do you guys and gals eat fast food, and if so, how often? That's my time. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and also subscribe to my channel for all the latest in diet, health, and fitness. I put out at least 2 to 3 new videos per week. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Grill, and look at that. It looks really, really good. This one's probably gonna this one's probably gonna take longer because it's thicker. I'm gonna get the